Nigeria's journey towards building a strong, lasting and virile democratic culture hits another turbulent juncture, with a fracas arising from the major opposition party's Board of Trustees meeting, which held yesterday. The race to the finish line now looks farther, with each passing day with the parties at the verge of a very steep cliff. No thanks to squabbles both within and across party lines. I am delighted to have Professor Okey, Ikechukwu, the Managing Director of Development Specs Academy and a Strategic Management and Human Capital Development expert. He joins us on Arise Prime Time. Glad to have you join us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
What is your interpretation of what is playing out with the PDP, with particular reference to what transpired yesterday at the BOT meeting?
Oh, it's a simple and straightforward matter. It just points to the fact of the party's inability to resolve the internal differences. You're talking about, in every political party, you have, if you like, slight schisms. This is our party, quite all right, but there might be an orientation I have. Either I'm loyal to an individual or to some individuals, or there are candidates who want to push, or there are policy differences between us, or there are cliques within the party to which some people belong and others don't. So whenever there's a party engagement, those various interests will manifest. In the case of the PDP, it has lingered for too long, particularly after it lost the elections. It's not been able to hold itself together, but I'll backtrack further, a little beyond that. You cannot really say, frankly, that the PDP has been as coherent as many people perceive it to be, even when it was in power for 16 years. I'm not a member of the party, but for 2007, 2011, 2014, I was in the presidential campaign team. They will come for me from outside, and the one of 2007 particularly was disturbing because that campaign took place, the team was constituted, etc. Nothing happened. They had to reconstitute. A 41-man team headed by Ikechukwu. I was on that team. Why I'm bringing this out is that the party had ridden along on its on the strength, if you like, following the law of linear momentum. You have won, so the heat behind it keeps going, and so internal processes were not designed and strengthened. But campaigns took place during elections only. Imagine that from the beginning, PDP established a culture of having quarterly political engagements in all the states. Then you're going to build cohesion, you're going to build membership, you're going to build ideological loyalty. That was not happening. It's just during elections, I come to your place, okay, this is the man in charge, this is the person who will get us the candidates. Now, he went on. Having lost the election, what one had hoped for was that even within the first 4 years of Buhari, that the party would have pulled itself together, found out why he lost the elections, and then tried to regroup. And they actually did, because when Secondos became chairman, they had a retreat. It was at the Hilton. I was the first person who took them through the history of political opposition, the losses, the experiences of the US, etc. And I think on that occasion, I also talked about this thing of getting the people together. There are no party meetings in the real sense in the States. There are no rallies, and this is not peculiar to PDP. Then during elections, you bring in money, some people will come in, others will assemble in the stadium. They'll be there for 5 or 6 hours. The sun has beaten the smoke out of all of them. Then some big men. These are not campaigns. What am I talking about? With the current experiences of the PDP, it must now resolve to become a political party.
It must not resolve
to become a political party.
So what has it been on along, if it's not a political party?
The PDP and all the other parties are platforms used by the elite to acquire state power and to exercise control over the resources and policies of the nation. That's different from being driven by what you might call developmental ideology as basis for membership. Why I can jump from your party to the other man's party because of a ticket is that I believe in nothing. I want an office. I want to become president. I want to become governor. This platform is not working. I go to the other one. I don't even read the manifesto. Now, part of what really has worsened the matter for PDP is that, remember, it's the party that has provisions for north-south rotation. It's not in the Nigerian constitution. Then you had a north, And then PDP, some people from the South felt very bad at Atiku, came out there again, and there was nobody from particularly the Southeast. What I'm leading up to is this. The last events of their BOT meeting that was more or less busted is an opportunity for self-assessment and growth. For me, it's not something to be condemned. Frictions occur, disruptions occur in human affairs, but that's precisely the moment to see how low you've fallen.
Okay, so from what you've just said, it sounds like you're agreeing with the former auditor of the party, referring to Trump and the G16. He said the fight is okay because politics is survival of the fittest.
I don't agree. Politics is usually the survival of the smartest. It's not about muscle, unless you're talking about mental fitness, the ability to negotiate, the ability to to knock out the right deals.
Maybe financial fitness too.
Financial fitness. So if you think it's survival of the fittest, and you come in with boxing skills, traditional wrestling skills, you're not good.
Like it happened at the BOP yesterday.
Well, you see, from the way politics is going, it will appear that if you're going for public office, you might want to acquire a bit of some boxing, karate. It might come in handy, even from what you say in the National Assembly. But leading up to the fundamental point about that, yes, it's about negotiation. You can only have that kind of situation because the backroom meetings failed or didn't take place. For it to be at the BOT meeting that you're having those fights, it means that the right things have not been done. That's like when I see, you recall, it occurred predominantly under the PDP government, where you had a lot of opposition from the National Assembly. That can only occur because the liaison hasn't taken place. This BOT meeting was not announced within 24 hours. It took time to plan. It took time to convince everybody to agree on a date. Before then, long before then, while he was being prepared, even as they arrived, they all knew there were issues on the table. Now, those issues should have been sorted out before the meeting convened, in which case the convening of the meeting is for everybody to see a consensus. Let's suppose there's an interest I want to push and in the BOT. And I've had some meetings with people, and they had their position, but what I'm saying makes sense to them. People know I'm interested in that, but I won't be the one to push it. I ask you to put it forward. Okay, Musa says it, another person disagrees with him. I come in, I say, let's create a balance. You see, capacity for managing human emotions where there are interests. That's what's missing. And the question is, can you entrust your nation to people who cannot manage themselves as a leadership group that's asking you to give them the nation to manage on your behalf?
Now, I'm going to raise that because there's a place I have that. Now, let's talk about even the differences. The BOT, not aborted. I mean, okay, there was a fight. Eventually, they went through. It borders on, in fact, there are so many things. But let's talk about the secretaryship.
Okay.
Anyanwu and Okey. Anyanwu is saying that what the Constitution does not say, that if you're going to contest, which he did in 2023, that he should resign, that the National Vice Chairman, Odeifa, Southeast, deceived Mba, the governor. Yeah. So, and then there's a court case. Somebody said that you fight for a stay is not the same thing as having the stay.
Oh, certainly.
So, what do you make of, because that's the major issue now. I mean, I'll bring up other ones about the NWC, yes, it's schisms.
No. You see, we are talking legality. The issue is not the court injunction. The issue is not the Constitution. It's failure of political sagacity. This shouldn't be in the public domain. For you to go to court, conversation has broken down. That's where I'm focusing. The failure of that leadership elite to what you might call give others deals they can live with. Anyanwu wants it. Who else wants it?
Okay.
Is any of them agreeing to step down?
No.
Good. That means that apart from that position, they can't see anything of interest that they want. Secondly, nobody has been able to convince any of them. Thirdly, there might be egos involved. So the court element is coming in because of the failure of consultation, because of the failure of negotiation. So we can't blame the court. We can't say, oh, you have a court injunction. No, no, no. All these issues about the Constitution and the rest of it. Okay, let's suppose it's two of us fighting for it, and we know the constitutional provision, and they say to you, look, or they say to me, look, okay, yeah, we know you want to be secretary. I say, yes, I need to, because this is what I'm looking at in the next 2 years. You say, okay, how about this? What if in place of secretary we give you this? Because that's what goes on is horse trading. We give you this, we place you in this place, and all of that. And what you're telling me makes sense to me. That kind of negotiation is what makes people to step down when they are going for governorship or whatever. You say, okay, don't worry, when the government is constituted, you get a ministerial slot. Now, what I'm leading up to and which I'm emphasizing is that it must take failure of conversation within the bedroom for you to see a couple fighting in front of their children, calling each other names. It must take a failure of managing the bottom line for a board meeting, for a management meeting to have board members shouting at each other with the entire management staff. That's what's happening.
Now you raised an issue, and let me ask you that issue now. Wabara, BOT chairman, this is a statement. Despite the challenges we face, let me reiterate that the PDP remains the hope of Nigerians. How does this resonate with you? PDP, that from what we can see is not able to put his house in order. He says PDP remains the hope of Nigerians.
I don't see anything wrong with the statement at all. Chief Wabara has a right to express his opinion in public. Whether that opinion is correct is another matter. Whether I should agree with it is another matter. So the fact that he's, okay, supposing I say, look, I'm the tallest man in the world. First, that's a lie. Second, if you've not seen anybody taller than me, you will assume it's true. So people tremble and run around and have headache over things that don't mean anything at all. A prominent person has expressed a personal view. What's the justification for that view? What's the basis for that claim? That PDP remains the hope of Nigerians. How? Are there states under the PDP today? Yes. Are they doing very well? In other words, if you compare them with APC states and Labour Party states or whatever, if Labour has any, you say, no, I want these people to come because see how they are running their states. The answer is no. The PDP today, how are its primaries, where it is dominant? So these are the things you take into consideration and say, yes, it's the hope of Nigerians. But Chief Wabara may have information I don't have that makes him make that claim. But for me as an observer, using the indices I've mentioned, it is a personal opinion nobody is under obligation to take seriously at all. Hope, in what regard? What's the magic happening in PDP states? Okay, let's suppose the PDP states are doing so well, and then this party fracas occurs. You would say, well, let them sort it out, but you see, their government is, what is there to market? Let's not kid ourselves.
You mentioned, I have had Lere here, Olayinka,
okay,
the FCT ministers, SSA. I have had Momodu. So the talk is, for Lere, the problem with PDP, they start today. For Momodu, for some, they're saying it's a South-South thing.
In what regard?
For Momodu, South-South presidency.
Okay, yeah. That's the issue, okay.
Yeah. For Momodu, he says that the problem is festering because the FCT minister has refused to let lying dogs sleep since he lost the primaries. So what's the kernel of PDP's issue?
PDP, you know the circumstances of Wike's loss. Let's also operate with a sense of history. Remember, he was the major promoter and supporter of Tambuwal.
Yeah, he was.
I was director communication, strategic communication, and running that campaign for Tambuwal. So I'm not telling stories, I'm talking about what I know. When you say, to be frank, there was only one person really behind Tambuwal. It was Nyesom Wike. It was him. the Tambuwal lost, not because Wike withdrew support, because superior national forces moved in. And I'll give you the detail very quickly. We had gone, you go to visit the prominent people all over the country. So we went to, the last place we went to before going to Port Harcourt was Mina, to see you-know-who. So we went there, he received us. He made a fantastic, you carried out a coup because you wanted a better Nigeria. You were a young man, you were a major, you could have lost your life in the Civil War. And later you did this and that. This person is young, he's been speaker. And whether you like it or not, Tambuwal was a fantastic speaker. He held the house together, the chairmanship and all of that. So it was on that conviction I felt it was good. So as we stepped out to now go board the plane and go back, fly to Port Harcourt for the primaries, my phone rang. A very urbane, elderly voice. He said, some people call me Okechukwu, some call me Ikechukwu. I said, provided they don't call me.
No, which one is it?
Okechukwu is the first name, Ikechukwu is the surname. So whichever is still my name. Provided they don't call me Amaka or Angelina, I will answer. So, as we were going into my phone rang, he said, hello, Dr. Ikechukwu, how are you? Went on that, yes, that I don't know him. You don't know me, but I know you. We've been following you for over 20, 30 years, right from your days in The Guardian. You see, why I'm calling you is that we need you to join Atiku's campaign. The man you're following will not win. The only person supporting him really is Wike. And Wike is a small boy. Where were they 10 years ago? Look, bluntly. I said, no, that's not how it works. He said, well, telling you, we need you to go join that campaign and give you some direction. So I'm calling you several other things. But the interesting thing was the fact that I was being informed that Tambuwal was not going to be the candidate. By the time we got, and by the time we were leaving for Port Harcourt, a day or two before then, there was no question of who was going to emerge, really. It was going to be Tambuwal. By the time we got to Port Harcourt, some governors, it's a dog keeper's logic. You're told to deliver your delegates here, you'll be obliged to. By the time we got there, I think some big boys of Nigeria's Old Boys Association had gone to talk to those they needed to talk to and advise them to be of good behavior. And they were of good behavior, and Tambuwal lost. That's the country we're running. Now, Tambuwal was the man who stepped down for Atiku, for Wike to lose. It wasn't bad enough, it was bad enough he stepped down, but also that he actually spoke. So no matter, Wike is a disagreeable fellow in so many ways, but you see in that regard, remember he has never attacked Tambuwal. Nobody forgets that. When you say, but there was nobody else, we were the ones making the round for the campaign. I can't name 2 or 3 people of substance. In fact, if that presidency had fallen through, it would have been more like political burglary, because major stakeholders were not around our campaign. But Tambuwal was a good candidate, based, in my view, on his record as a speaker.
So having said all this, where are you, with the risk of not being biased, I don't know, but what are you? Are you saying that, because Wike, I even wonder at times, is Wike in PDP or is he in APC?
You see, my struggle at all times is to maintain objectivity, because that's the only thing that can aid national conversation and proper political development. You cannot deny the fact that Wike is substantially responsible for the crisis in the PDP. That's my view. I may be mistaken. That's, having said all of this, you must balance the views. So it's not, I can't be biased on this matter. I've told you the challenge with Tambuwal, I've told you. So Wike is supposed to be a PDP person. You must ask yourself, how is it possible that he's carrying on the way he is carrying on all fronts and appears untouchable? So you cannot divorce him from the problem. I believe, and I may be mistaken, I'm not in the BOT, I'm not a member of it, I believe that Wike is a very strong variable in whatever currents are pushing the PDP to the left or to the right. That's my belief.
Now, Atiku has said that Atiku fingers APC of sowing seeds of discord among members of the opposition generally.
Generally.
But Labour took offense to that. He said,
Okay.
speak for
yes,
yourself.
speak for yourself.
Don't
bring us into this.
Unless you don't want us to be believed, don't speak without a proof.
Yeah.
Because there was an allegation of paying some money.
Money, 50 million, I think,
Yeah,
to all
50.
of them.
I just didn't want to mention it.
Let's even examine that. You have a farmland secured. And you're telling people that I came and planted corn in your farmland where you only wanted beans. Shouldn't you be embarrassed? Shouldn't you feel scandalized? Should you let anybody know? I mean, I'm concerned because we need very strong opposition, and PDP is not giving it. What they think is opposition is occasional, to use the local slang, saying waka to. Oh, they do something, you complain about it. So you suppose Nigerians will come and start clapping for you because you complain the APC made a mistake or hasn't gotten anything right. Now, let's assume it's true that APC is responsible. How is APC could APC be destabilizing your party if you had control of that party? That's a question the PDP is not answering. That's why I think Alhaji Atiku's statement is unfortunate. It diminishes the PDP actually and the stalwarts in that party.
What do you make then of both the major opposition, which is supposed to be PDP?
Allegedly.
You mean allegedly the major opposition?
Yes. It's a rumor as far as I'm concerned. The stronger opposition is coming from public commentators, activists, people taking up core issues.
I'm not even only talking about PDP now. I'm just saying,
okay,
what are the implications for our democracy?
Okay.
You know, in terms of opposition parties, both the PDP,
APC, whoever, I mean,
Labour Party,
all the others.
and all the others. Because there seems not to be, in quote, any opposition in the land.
But that's also because the approach to opposition and perception of opposition is limited to saying something bad about any current government. If you are the opposition, you should have a shadow cabinet. Let them go and take the template I will use for this country as opposition leader. Let them go and find out what Aminu Kano was doing as Talakawa leader. The point is this. We come out with a policy you think is not good. You bring a counter policy and tell us what should have been done differently. For each portfolio, labor, whatever, there are our own quote-unquote ministers. The shadow cabinet that's marking time. We need that because without it, we can't have a very strong governance framework. They will be forcing the government in power to be on its toes. So we need it because we'll be the beneficiaries. But when political opposition is reduced to press releases, to the fact, oh, they are destabilizing us, it makes you wonder about the quality of the level of political sophistication of those who you're opposing. In fact, you're giving the APC a lot of credit. And from all indications, APC also appears to be stamping all over them. Are they impotent? Are they crippled? Are they managing? Are the offices functioning? If you're preparing for 2027 or you say you're opposing the government today, please tell us what you're doing apart from grumbling occasionally.
Are you afraid of Nigeria dovetailing into a one-party state?
No.
Why?
Even when you have one party in power, there are diverse forces within the party. And there's one thing that happens when a party becomes too far powerful and then begins to act with some kind of triumphalism. It will slip. The challenge I see, or the issue I see there is the possibility of becoming a one-party state is a little remote. You may think of one uniform or what you might call easy consensus on some things, but that's not the same as a one-party state because there are currents. In the case of Nigeria, some of those currents are ethnic or ethno-religious. Some of them are regional, etc. So you can have a consensus of the elite in office at a particular time, but those other forces will keep pulling at it. That's why the APC, people are accusing the APC of being a one-party state. Yet within that party, the governors from a particular part of the country arrived at a consensus to oppose the policy proposal of the government, which is a tax reform. What does that tell you? So those who are talking about a one-party state are not looking at the concept of the state. The state is not people holding office, it's the instruments of coercion and the policies. So you have elite consensus at a certain level. Do you have regional consensus? No. The Southeast is smarting. So even APC Southeast will not be entirely happy. Now the North is talking about 4 years or 8 years, which Atiku is hoping to fund for them. The Middle Belt is saying, no, we are not part of the North. The South is saying, look, we need to do something about the revenue, the derivation,
formula and the tax,
and all of that. So in the midst of all of that, those who are only looking at the top will talk of one-party state. It's like the ocean. When you go and look at the Bar Beach or any ocean, any large body of water, it is perfectly still. It's only when you look at the shore, you see massive waves, sometimes 30 feet high. Now, the belly of a party is like the ocean itself. The thunderous engagements there, you don't see it because the body is heavy, but it's when you look at the edges. There's no question of a one-party state. There will be implosion because the regional frictions will quickly, the only thing that can keep holding it together is an elite consensus that can use the instruments of coercion to keep others under control, but not one-party state in whose interest?
Definitely not in the interest of Nigerians, because that was what I was talking about, opposition. You need a virile opposition to be able to, and you made a very good point there. If you're telling me, if you advise somebody, don't smoke, you must show him what to do, contrary, so he won't get back to smoking. All right, thank you so much, Professor Okey, Ikechukwu, Strategic Management and Human Capital Development expert. Thank you for being on the program. Interesting discussion we had.
My pleasure.